now we turn our attention to the question of the day. In honor of the exciting news that we heard just about Hamilton being turned into a movie and Disney paying a whopping $75 million for it, we thought it'd be kind of interesting to talk about Broadway musicals and movies. So your question today is, should Broadway musicals actually be turned into movies? Now, we have a long history of this in Hollywood. It seems like every great musical eventually gets a movie treatment, from West Side Story to Grease to, Les Miserables has been turned into how many movies, some singing, some that doesn't involve music that is more directly aligned with the Victor Hugo book. But if it's a musical and it's big enough, it eventually gets to be a movie. But should it? I guess what I'm really asking is this. What is a better version? Is it better to see such great productions on stage and to have that live experience? Or can their movie counterparts be great? West Side Story actually won Best Picture in 1960. 1961, but it came out in 1960, and 60 years later, we're doing a remake of that musical with Steven Spielberg at the helm. The 2012 musical version of Les Miserables was an absolute hit and very emotional, great cast. Anne Hathaway, knocked it out of the park, singing the part of, Fantine, just like her mother did years before. But then again, we also have really bad movies that come along, like the Cats movie, which we're all asking ourselves now, should that movie have ever been made with terrible CGI? They weren't even ready for that movie to be released and had to go back and fix the CGI. But I don't think that really good CGI would have helped the fact that you're taking this, musical that was a hit and trying to put it on the big screen. And I don't care who the cast is. The movie just sucked. Okay? But then again, we were all greatly surprised by the musical version of Phantom of the Opera in 2004, with Gerard Butler actually singing and being the Phantom. Didn't think that he was going to be able to pull it off, and yet he did. And everybody was great in that movie. But we could also rephrase the question this way. Is there certain musicals that should never be turned into movies? That should be just for the stage and we should experience it that way? Or are some musicals so great that it doesn't matter whether it's on stage or in a movie, in a film too? I wonder if the Hamilton movie is even, if we're ever going to have the same experience that, people, if they're ever going to have the same experience that people did being able to see that live, such a groundbreaking musical. But, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. I think a lot of people do tend to forget that Mary Poppins originally was on stage. And, we seem to remember the Disney movie with Julie Andrews more. They came out with a sequel with Emily Blunt that was very good as well. The last movie version that we actually had of Oklahoma was really just a film version of the stage play with Hugh Jackman playing Curly in 1999. It's a catch-22, especially in today's world. How do you... I think some can pull it off, and I think some don't. And I think you have to ask the question, really, should we just have it on stage and let people experience that with traveling productions? Or, can the film ever truly match? I've seen Les Miserables multiple times, okay? It's always a better experience seeing it live, especially with the power of that music. But I also applaud the efforts of Hugh Jackman and Anne Hathaway and Eddie Raymond and stuff, and also Russell Crowe, who did a great job singing and playing Javert in that movie. It was very, very good and very emotional. So, I mean, sometimes it's a hit or miss. I don't know if I can appreciate Grease on stage as much as, I do and enjoy the movie. But here's another really interesting take. What about television stations like NBC that want to film live productions with new cast members that seem to fall flat? Nothing against Allison Williams as an actress, but the Peter Pan movie or live production that she was a part of was horrible. Their version of Grease, not really that good either. And I guess it really comes down to how you present it and how you can pull it off. I think one reason that the original West Side Story was so successful is because of how much they put into the dancing and the choreography. And it was just, even today, it's a timeless and beautiful movie 60 years later. But that is our question of the day. Should Broadway musicals actually be turned into movies? Or should it be a case-by-case basis? I don't know how I feel about Hamilton being turned into a movie. I'd like to think that being able to see the live production will probably end up always being better. But then again, if you're able to actually get the original cast to do the movie version, much like they did with Rent, which that's another shining example where it really did work, and I think it worked because you did have the original cast, But then again, Rent is just basically Puccini's La Boheme told in the 1980s during an AIDS epidemic. It doesn't take away from the power of the story. It's still good. But at the same time, it's just an updated version of a great opera. We would like to know what you think. For those fans of movies and musicals and all that, tell us what you think. You can tweet us out at That Nerd Show. Should Broadway musicals be turned into movies? And if so, which ones do you like and which ones do you not like? When have they succeeded and when have they failed? Thank you for watching. I'm Marcus Blake with That Nerd Show, and this has been your Daily Nerd News. Until the next time, goodbye.